we're gonna get it transcribed, and we're gonna come back later and do a nicer one, either today or tomorrow or something.
Yeah, that works. So, what's up? What do you want to talk about? It's been, isn't it, this is a little surreal. I think right before we went on air, both of us were talking about, boy, idiot boss syndrome is running amok. Neither of us, I think both of us, you reach a time in your life where you just, first of all, you've done enough of the work that it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make logical sense for you to work for someone else.
Yeah.
Uh, like I'm doing more stuff than the person that's paying me. What's happening here? Uh, and I mean, just for myself, I started with absolutely no skill in marketing, and it was many years ago. But every step of what people see that looks like magic represents some sort of experience that I had, or something that someone taught me, or something that I learned, some tutorial that I read and applied. Uh, just a lot of what people see now is really hard won experience. So
Yeah.
I I started really, and I think this applies to both of us. I started just as a fiction writer. I started in storytelling. That
Hmm.
was what I was most passionate about and what I wanted to do. And I quickly realized that's not going to pay bills. Uh, just especially from a perspective of, and man, I'd spent years and years and years getting really good at writing,
Yeah.
but like from a structure perspective and all this, but really, it's not really enough to be a writer. You've got to be a media company.
Hmm.
And I think literally more and more people that are creatives are confronting the fact that creating is not gonna get you paid for creating. It's very rare that you're gonna make some piece of art that goes viral. And a lot of the people that have the time to make that kind of stuff, it's the same as any other form of celebrity. You find out that they had like a gazillion dollars from their dad, or they had just enough security from doing that they could sit down at a house for 3 months, take a
Yep.
breath, take notes on what their process was, improve their process, iterate their process, and make something that, oh yeah, that was great, I could do this all along, like many people in the human race. uh
Yeah. Much like Brandon, I didn't study marketing in school or anything like that. Uh, I uh, I when I was young, I was studying film. I was in bands. I was doing creative stuff, and that kind of led me to be in this position where I had a lot of creativity, and I had a knack for getting rooms of people to pay attention to me, which is the fundamental core of marketing.
right, right.
And I could use a computer pretty well. And that was what led to me finding my way into marketing, was living in rural America, finding these small businesses that were just like, you can use a computer, be our marketing person.
It's so funny that you say that, because I was writing, one of the habits I have is I like to write and record my own thoughts. We've only got a limited amount of time on this planet. One moment, one moment. Hello.
Hello. Hi. How are you doing today, Rachel?
Yeah, sorry. We're not ready to move on anything related to Rachel's business right now. Uh, let's talk at another time. I'm in the middle of a meeting. But
Oh, sure. Thank you. Have a good day.
you
Bye.
as well. So this is a true story. One of my habits is I like to just write and record my thoughts. None of us are getting any younger. Like, you know, I'm on Twitter and they're talking about Ryan Gosling, too old to play Ken. And you know, Ryan Gosling is like 90 in TikTok years. He's not like old or by a real person standard, but like, hey, who knows how long it'll be until we're too old for TikTok years or whatever. The reason why I mentioned that is it's just good to show where you're at so that you can look back and see your progress. Um, and as I was doing that, I was thinking about uh, currently we're working with a client that's in medical technology, and a lot of their work is on the human lifespan. You know, how can we help people stay a few more years if they've had a stroke, or they're having heart
Yeah.
failure, or they've got Alzheimer's, or a lot of these diseases that shorten the human lifespan? How can we bring people out of that for just a little longer? And one of the number one thing that decides on your lifespan statistically is your zip code. Uh, you know, we talk about uh, being the sum total of your friends. You know, if your friends are all eating hamburgers on a Friday night, you are too. If your friends are doing stuff that would get you demonetized from YouTube, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And if they are on a mission to improve the state of the world, if they are people with good vibes, if they are people who are ambitious, you're going to take on those traits pretty naturally because you're hanging out with them. And it's something that's a lot easier than pumping yourself up and giving yourself motivation, or hitting rock bottom in your life, or just any of the other ways that we think of for dramatic change. And your zip code being a big impactor, a big player on your longevity is worth noting, because that's your community. That's the community that you're born into. And if you want to have results that are outside of your zip code, then you've got to be really good at having conversations with people, meeting them, following up with them, uh, getting some sort of commitment from them, and really like bringing your lives together. So for me, uh, it's always been important for me to do business with people that are like outside of my family and outside of my neighborhood and outside of my immediate environs. Uh, and that's been rad in some ways, because you meet, I mean, we've met the full range of human experience between
Truly.
Twitter and our podcast and this company. We've had experiences that most people like just statistically can't imagine and can't do.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Uh,
think building an interesting network around yourself is really important. And a lot of people think that this is just like some LinkedIn talk sometimes, or things like that. But you really do have to find people that are interested in the same kinds of passions, niches, topics, organizational activities, etc., that you're interested in if you really want to get results for a lot of things. And when we're talking with organizations that we work with as clients, this is really crucial. Some of them, they have a great network of friends and partners and companions and things and whatever around them, but they're not, these are just the people that have always been around. They're not necessarily super mission aligned. And
right.
then when they need volunteers, they're struggling to fill those volunteer quotas because they don't have enough mission aligned people around them. That's a real problem. That's not just like a made up LinkedIn bro, business guy blowing smoke up your butt problem. That's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. Like, it's funny to imagine you being uh, an activist, or a philanthropist, or somebody who has like a lot of history, knowledge, resources, time, and you have a meeting with four other people who have a lot of resources, time, education, connections. Okay, how do we meet people under the age of 35? Uh, how do we meet people who live across the town from us? How do we, and we know that they care about this same stuff that we care about. How do we find those people, motivate those people, and get them uh, into the resources that we want to share? Uh, that might sound strange or stretch your credibility unless you've been in a dozen meetings where that exact scenario has been described to you as like a pants on fire difficulty problem. Um, but yeah, it's true. Uh, Kennedy, just from a networking perspective, what are some of the big, first of all, were there any moments where you thought to yourself, I've got to get into this and get really good at it? Because you talked about it kind of being thrust onto you from a young age.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think in my mid-20s, I was kind of like bouncing between a few different kinds of jobs. And so it was just sort of like a clarity that I eventually reached of like, there's certain things that I would actually enjoy doing. Um, and that includes things like graphic design. And that includes things like outreach. That includes things like specialized internet marketing stuff
Mhm,
and social media marketing.
mhm.
I enjoy a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
I enjoy being a social media person. I like cracking jokes on the internet and things like that. And so,
And
when you're working one job for 6 months and it's entering data into spreadsheets and it's really dull. And then 6 months later, you're doing a job where you're taking photographs of products and you're touching them up and you're listing them online. And you're writing a cute description. For me, the latter was a lot more fun.
it beats digging ditches, literally. I
That as well. As you know, I've done farming and construction as well. So yeah.
Yeah, for me, I've never been able to just pay someone to do the things that I want. It's like, oh, I've got this wild ambition. I will go to my bank and throw money at people until it happens. Uh, I started writing fiction. I made a little money writing fiction, and I got into writing articles when SEO was a big thing. I wrote a lot of stuff for SEO. I made review websites when Amazon affiliates were a big thing,
Mhm.
for like products that you're not really using, but you've read and watched some videos on them. Compare the features, which one's wider, strollers, detergent makers, gym equipment, you name it, right? And
Right.
got into digital products. And for that, it was really cool because uh, uh, you're doing every step of it. At least I was. So for me, that was, you've got to write a book that's 50 pages. You've got to design the cover. You've got to outline it. You've got to make a website that's HTML editable, CSS. You've got to make the CSS. You've got to upload it. What about audio? Make an audio version. What about video? Now you're making PowerPoint slides, developing mind map. You're doing all of that, and then when you're done, how are you distributing it? Uh, uh, Joint venture partnerships, making a mailing list,
Yep.
talking to those people, scheduling calls, getting them on calls. Uh, that entire process, I kind of had to learn that entire process just as a, nobody else is doing any of this for you, but out of the goodness of their heart, nobody's going to say, oh yeah, I will build you a sales funnel. Where, who's doing that?
Yeah.
So
The other
just
thing I found too was that a lot of times with the small businesses that I wanted to work for, I was most excited to work for. It was very much a, if you want to work here, you need to generate sales kind
Yeah,
of thing. And I'm sure you've run into that too.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. If you got.
Yeah, no, uh I got my first joint venture partnerships and got really into deals that were really making money and having success by I would go to somebody that already had the mailing list and had the base of whatever, and I would present them with literally everything else. So I was writing the books, doing the graphics, doing the web design, doing the support, set up the affiliate page, and really all they had to do was agree to split the money with me. So that was good for the sense of like, okay, teaching you the skills and you learning them. And also, it was good for networking just because, hey, that's the best possible thing that a person can offer you is a full soup to nuts package. And as I developed, I mean, this is kind of what we're doing here right now. uh like it comes from an ethic of you better be able to do this entire thing because your boss is lazy. they they're lazy and don't know how to do anything at all besides have the money. But in that time period, digital products, I mean, copywriting, digital products, SEO, and then social media, uh, as I found myself working with product creators and authors and people who already had written books and recorded videos at a studio and had people that followed them from a not like a Twitter follower perspective, but people who like bought their courses, went to their live shows, wore
Yeah,
their
bought their
merchandise,
books,
real
etc.
like followers. So I found myself like doing more higher level stuff. So that was the social media management and writing the posts. And then at that stage, I was leading teams that did all of those things. So when somebody wanted, hey, I need 20 social media posts per day for the Instagram, and I need uh, a digital product, and I need a sales page and a podcast that goes with it, uh, in both audio and video forms, like that kind of deep whole 360 uh, approach to marketing a product. Been there and done all of that, which is good for me because when you're working with us, we're not two people who like our business model is based around handing this to some freelancer and hoping that they can do it. Uh, like both of us
No,
are
we talked
craftsmen
about
that,
that. Also, we talked about that networking thing earlier.
yeah,
Surrounding yourself with the right kinds of people. We don't just grab random freelancers off of Fiverr when we need help. We have a network of people that we've cultivated, our friends, our partners, people that we trust, people that we've worked with repeatedly, people that it's easy to get on the same page about a shared vision with.
right.
Um, that's not the same as just grabbing freelancers off of Fiverr. And then on top of that, as Brandon was mentioning, we do a lot of the work ourselves. A lot of this is handcrafted by the two of us right here.
A lot of people, this is a quote from my friend Rock Solomon, but it's such a good quote. I'm going to just start stealing it, using it as my quote. Uh, a lot of people are great at marketing themselves, but not good at marketing you. So you get this great experience when it comes to finding you, talking to you, giving you messaging, but like it doesn't connect in the same way because they've got a full plate of other people that like they really want to sell anyone. It's not really about a personal relationship with you at all. And
Yeah.
it's not about, I mean, Kennedy, we talk a lot about being mission aligned. Uh, we're really selective when it comes to who we work with. I want to be able to, I mean, most people, when they talk about their job, they're complaining about it. It's very rare. Like I made a post a year ago on Twitter and was like, who here likes their job? What are you doing? And you can find posts like this that trend on Twitter once in a while from time to time. And it's very rare that somebody is doing work that they feel that they enjoy, working with someone that they respect, doing something that improves the status of their world is pretty rare. And so what's the point of doing all of this if you're not doing that? The idea of spending like 8 to 10 hours a day, and Kennedy, you know me, I work like a maniac. So if I'm working for something or someone, I'm going whole ass into it,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm waking up early and staying up late. So doing that for something that makes me feel bad or or lowers my vibrational level is not really something that I want to do. Uh, I find myself more and more now. I want to see happy faces. I want to see positive results. I want to see people knowing something they didn't know the day before. That's the kind of stuff that makes me want to get up and work on anything. Um, yeah, when I have that, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Kennedy, we talked about network building.
Hmm.
Let's dig into that in just slightly more depth. The people that I mean, really, it's because we've spent all of that time. We've got a backstory full of delivering amazing results on projects. And whenever you see a project, it's rare that it's one person doing everything. It's often the result of a team of people that worked together and brought it together. And that means for us, all of these steps that we talk about, we know people that are specialists in all of them, whether that's graphic design, you know someone great at it, video
Hmm.
production, copywriting, website funnels, getting technical errors looked at and fixed. So many people pull their hair out over, pain in the butt stuff on their website, and then the right person comes and it's like, oh, we fixed that, no big deal. um, those aha moments. uh, we know specialists for basically all of these things that are part of that experience of O to O, and getting someone to see your digital presence and care about you in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I think O to O is all about, it's all about effective network building. It's all about presenting value. It's all about aligning on missions. It's all about these things that we've been talking about. You need to get people excited, engaged, aligned with you, and then you need to get them to come participate. And this is something we've been thinking about for years. How do you get folks that like to tweet to phone bank for somebody? How do you get folks that DM'd and said, "Wow, this project means everything to me"? How do you get them to show up to the event next week? Um, that stuff is actually, like, it's a very big question, and it's one of the big challenges that we've got to tackle here, especially in the post-COVID world, where everything has changed in terms of how to reach people.
yeah. And not post COVID in the sense of there's no more COVID.
But
We're
just that
still,
COVID has changed how we
yeah,
communicate. Yeah.
COVID has changed how we communicate. uh I mean, it goes without saying, modern life is so fast now. You say you can do something, and unless it's on a calendar, you might not even find the time to do it. So just having that sense of, it's not as simple as saying, yeah, I'm interested, and then it happens. uh, Especially if it's something that is outside of your routine. There's a whole process of looking you up, seeing if you're legit. There's 1,000 little micro things that, I mean, that you're doing when you're meeting us. Odds are you see us, you're looking at like, who are these guys? Are they legit? Do I trust them? And each of these steps that we talked about, this O to O, I mean, people are doing the same thing to you. They're looking you up. They're looking your presence. They're saying, do I trust this? Is it relevant to me? Do I care about it? Do I want to get involved? How involved should I get? In the same way that you're here evaluating us, like people are doing the same thing to you. And so it's important to have like a good sense of momentum and growth behind all of that for sure. Um,
Well said.
Kennedy,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about what inspired us to start this? How did Ghost Coast Video start, and what do we do best? Let's talk about. We talked about this for a little while, so let's put a nice bow on it, and let's tell our story here.
Well, Brandon and I met in 2019 and started working on political projects together from the moment we started talking. And
Literally within the
literally,
week. Within the week.
uh, it started out more casual, but it became clear that we were very mission aligned personally with each other.
Yeah.
We share a lot of values. Um, in fact, we share probably like 99% of the same values or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty ridiculous. Um,
We
and
we've done 125 episodes of that podcast, and you and I rarely argued.
I think we disagreed slightly about the TSA once.
Yeah, like literally you could count our disagreements on a hand. They were special events. We were very much like peanut butter and jelly in that we both have, it's weird to say this because I'm from an urban area and you're from a country area, but we had very similar values. We had similar experiences. We were drawn into politics by similar events, and so it just matched up really well.
Yeah, so we started to branch into assisting people with their campaigns, organizing work of different kinds. We did some major housing relief work during the worst parts of the COVID pandemic when people were just losing their housing like crazy. Uh, we and we found that we were having a lot of success with those things. You know, we were raising thousands and tens of thousands of dollars for causes successfully and things like that. And we were just seeing really good results from working together.
Yeah.
So that led to we just started to kind of offer each other, hey, I'm contracting with this person. You want to come help out a little bit? Here's some money.
Literally that whole sense of networking of like, hey, who's a really skilled person that you know that can pitch in on this? And for both of us, it was each other a lot,
Yep.
both from a skills perspective and also, and this is something that I think people would, just a reliability perspective. Like
Yeah.
I knew that like both of us have our own lives and shit that we can both say, oh man, I'm not showing up for a week. I've got physical ailment. I got family issues. I mean, I was caretaking for the vast majority of the time that we knew each other.
Yeah.
But just when it really had to happen, I would come through for you and vice versa, just consistently all the time. And when you have that, don't let it go in your life, because it's just rare to when you have a good call or you have a good meeting or you have a good interaction with someone, it's very rare that it becomes a repeated interaction that you can rely on. And and it's really cool because we're becoming that for a lot of people week to week now.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like Brandon says, when you find that person you can rely on, you call them over and over. And so I can't even tell you how many times in the last 4 years there would be some project going on, and Brandon would reach out to me and say, "Hey, I got this project going on," or I'd reach out to Brandon and I'd say, "Hey, I had this idea," and next thing you know, we'd be working together,
We'd be
and
doing it. That's right. And
and
usually, go ahead.
that eventually led to us just kind of sitting down and looking at the numbers and the paperwork and saying, why aren't we doing this in a more official way? Why aren't we
Yeah,
taking this to the next level? And that's not just about, our friendship, but that's also on a personal level of starting a business and leaving behind the day job is a huge commitment. Um, and realistically, while Brandon and I were doing a lot of this political consulting the last few years, we were also working day jobs at the same time and things like
yeah,
that. So uh, this was a huge step to have to look at and consider. But once you put all the numbers on paper, it just made sense. It just
yeah.
made
And
sense.
and those numbers were not always like, and we've already got tons of money to start this. Boy, if only. But like, we've had a lot of our work lives have intertwined, and uh, it's funny that we both talk about it like it's logical, but I would bet that for most people, this would be considered nuts. Uh, yeah, but we did it anyway.
But, sometimes the craziest thing to do is keep doing the same thing. So it was time to try something a little bit crazy in some ways, but
Yeah,
also, again, when we put the ideas down on paper, wrote the business plan, looked at everything, it just made sense. It just made sense for us to make this official and work together, especially because it's clear that there's a value that we can offer nonprofits in particular because of the way in which we understand how they operate and their needs. Um, uh, there's a way in which we can offer them stuff that is just beyond what they get offered in general, because we're really thinking about them as these holistic entities rather than just another line on the ledger. We think about our nonprofit clients in a deep way. We want to get to know their issues, who they care about, who they want to reach out to, where their biggest bases of support are. These are the kinds of things that we ask folks right away, so that we can make sure that A, we're mission aligned with them,
right.
and B, uh, figure out how to really deeply understand how to solve their problems, again, as a holistic entity, where
Right.
they are this entire entity that is doing a lot of things. Some of these nonprofits have dozens of staff members, and they're running hundreds of programs in a year, literally. And an organization like that, if you're just looking at the little tiny slice that you need to see to make them this one piece of marketing material, you're not getting the whole picture. And you may not even understand the true value of what you're creating or how it could be used.
It's so frustrating for you to hire somebody that doesn't know the context of what they're doing. uh, uh, I would say that's probably our number one skill, is that when we're working with somebody, we understand why one thing that we're doing connects to the rest of the organization, uh, so that it's not like, oh, now I've got to come behind the person that I hired and I've got to use my brain to apply the context. And I've got to use so many calories out of my brain to make what
Right.
this person did even make sense or be publishable or get through a committee or fit what else I'm doing, that it's almost like I might as well not have bothered at all. Because like, the work and the pieces of it are complicated as well, but the getting it inside of your system, which, and every body that we work with is unique, There's no one size fits all structure. It's not like making a hamburger when it comes to activating people, because some people have got one charismatic founder, some people have two, some people have a board.
Yeah.
Some people are in an early stage where they really want to be aggressive and grow. Some of them are at a late stage where they've got to get new ideas through groups of people, and that requires a lot of patience. And you do not ever know which one is going to be when you're working with them, because they
Also,
might look. Go ahead.
what does it mean to activate someone, right?
Yeah,
Because that's not a universal concept whatsoever when it comes to these organizations. So if you're only looking at it from this cookie cutter perspective, you're going to miss out on the fact that some of these orgs, they need canvassers. Some of these
right.
orgs, they need people to show up to an event and get a paid internship. Some of these orgs, they need unpaid volunteers. Some
Right.
of them need folks to show up to events and just cheer and just be a crowd.
Yeah.
uh, and all of these different needs are not the same. They all require different kinds of steps of activation. Trying to get someone to spend $10 versus trying to get someone to show up to an event, you activate those two people different ways.
Right. Whether it's $10 or $100 or $1,000, a lot of those systems are like, they're similar, but it's you've got to stay in touch with those people in different ways too. The people that are doing the marching and holding up the signs have different patterns of life than the people that are just sending you a check once a year when you send them footage of an event. uh, so you really have to build multiple tracks of how to activate people inside your group, your system, your company. And we've got, like, not to brag, but the exact right experience for helping in those situations.
Yeah.
Uh, do we? What else do you want to? What's the future look like for you as a person? This seems like a fluffy thing, but like, I want to, we talked about before we started this video, let's let people get to know us.
Yeah.
So I want you to talk about, number one, that we're both still interested in storytelling. We're both creators and we like making funny things or shocking things or inspiring things. Talk a little bit about that. And also, in or outside of the business world, just talk about what you want your future to look like. What's next in Kennedy Cooper's world?
Well, I think first of all, the important thing to get out of the way right away is that Brandon and I did not start Ghost Coast Video just to service nonprofits.
Right.
We started this with kind of a secret second motive, so to
Right.
speak, which is that Brandon and I intend to make movies.
Yeah.
Uh, and in particular, we want to make movies that are fun, watchable films in accessible genres like horror and romance,
Right.
but that don't play into the problematic tropes of so much of the media that we consume that we're just tired of personally seeing ourselves. Like Brandon, what's you watch a lot of TV. Uh, you see stuff all the time in TV that you're
Uh,
just like, please, can we kill this storytelling trope in favor of something a little bit more true to real life?
yeah. I could. I'd get demonetized if I talked about the storytelling tropes that got on my nerves now. We're at a stage now where, from a, I mean, boy, from a diversity perspective, you've got all of the boxes have been checked almost like rigorously, but there's not a corresponding depth of like character. There's not really any sort of like true to life character depth or character realism, because uh, everything now, I mean, and this isn't, people like to say, oh, everything now is a franchise. But that is really a result not of like, boy, people just don't care about being creative. It's that there's less risk being taken on human experiences. Like, uh, name a movie from the 90s or 80s or even the 70s where films and TV shows showed a lot of normal human experiences, or story arcs where it didn't fit a three-act structure and change was more profound, or change was more gradual, or change didn't happen, or it didn't happen according to a beat sheet. um, I personally, I know you're interested in making horror. I'm interested in doing drama pieces that are uh, where there's not a traditional three-act structure,
Yeah.
and it's not, there's three disasters and a change. I was trained in writing that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Save the cat, immediate fiction, dramatica, and
John Campbell.
I'll always, that's how I talk about storytelling now. And there's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. I'm not trying to be better than anybody or anything like that. But we're at a time now where you can make almost anything you want. Why is there not more, I guess, experimental forms in our storytelling? And experimental doesn't have to mean unsatisfying. I think that uh, people watch short videos and they find things that are satisfying or inspirational or memorable. And in fact, they find so little of it that you're scrolling all day looking for a hit of something that's intriguing or human or out of the ordinary or stands out visually. Uh, and uh, Short films can do that on a budget. I'd like to
Yep.
find things that are surreal or hopeful or dramatic or funny or you just wouldn't see every day.
Yeah.
And making films where that kind of stuff happens, that doesn't necessarily end in a punching battle. Although, if you know me, you know I love punching battles. I love Vin Diesel driving off of mountains. I like all of that stuff. But I think that now there's, not just from a storytelling perspective, but from like a real business perspective, there's hunger. There's like real appetite for smaller scale stuff. That also, one thing that I do like about blockbuster filmmaking, I like things being connected. If you've read not like, you remember when we used to read novels? Didn't weren't novels were the original things being connected. You would read a novel with a big cast or an interesting events, or you'd read a novel that was a long series. And it wasn't necessarily that this had to be a blockbuster scale filmmaking. Uh, when I was a kid, my uncle read Tom Clancy, and it was so cool to see characters and ideas and governmental situations that were recurring and popped up over and over again. Uh, I still like seeing that stuff happen. It doesn't have to be a $200 million movie to support that, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kennedy, talk about. I mean, you can talk from a tropes perspective. I kind of dodged the question of, I saw I saw this article on Lost today, and it's made me growly the entire time. Not that I was ever a watcher of Lost, but I think of shows like Lost and The Walking Dead, and shows where like anytime you see somebody that's not white, you know that they're a goofy cartoon character that's going to be dead in half the season anyway. And those shows were so lame that they weren't even worth my deep watching. And I'm sure you've got your own set of stories that are like that yourself.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, I watch stuff all the time and think, we're doing this again.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, so Brandon and I have these sort of immediate goals and things that we want to reach, but we also have these larger goals about storytelling and things that we're really interested in pursuing. And uh, I think when I look towards the future, that's one of the big things that I'm looking towards.
When you come to this channel in a couple of years, we may be doing filming tips, editing tips. We may be the stuff that we're talking about now of organizing, maybe, hey, take these videos and go do it yourself. And now we're doing this. So it's cool from that perspective. And Kennedy, do you have your equipment near you?
My camera?
Yeah.
I mean, it's over here in the corner.
Let's get some beautiful bean footage. Because honestly, like it's easy to say blah 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 about setting up this or that. You've actually got a really cool layout here.
Yeah.
Talk about your camera.
It's the Black Magic 4K cinema camera. It's a pretty nice, high quality camera. I've got quite a few accessories here for it, and yeah, we get out and we film stuff. We're not just people behind the computer screens plugging away at spreadsheets and things like that. We have the equipment to go out and get some footage in real life in high quality.
You've
We've
you've
got
met you've met many goofball online. You've met many goofballs with apps, and they and 6 months ago they were experts on NFTs, and now they're experts on artificial intelligence. And
yep.
9 months from now they'll be experts on something else. It's much rarer to find people who like have made real physical investment in the things that they're talking about doing. And yeah, we're doing that. Keep going, Kennedy. I had to pitch in there.
No, that's great. Yeah, no. So it's this is set up. I actually have a lot of other equipment too. This is in like its most handheld form right now, pretty much.
Right.
But this can, we can put it over the shoulder. We can put it on a tripod. We have equipment to use it in a bunch of different ways. We have a boom for the mic. We have, we can take this mic off of here. I have another microphone as well. We've got, everything to just whatever the setting is. I've got the equipment to go in there and turn it into a film shoot,
Yeah.
whatever the current situation is, whatever your lighting situation, your is it far away, is it close, whatever, we got the equipment.
Don't be fooled by us sitting at the webcam before we go to work. We have the capacity to deliver your vision in 4K, high quality video, audio, picture, and sound. And that is cool. And it's something that, hey, if you're next time you're talking to a competitor, ask them what they can do to produce your stuff in the real world. They may charge you through the nose, an arm and a leg, and then try to scramble it up. Why not work with people who've already got the systems, the tools, the processes, the expertise, and we can just get this thing going without a lot of extra hassles.
Yeah, so instead of having your video chopped up by just a guy with some apps, how about actual filmmakers with a camera that go out
Yeah,
and shoot real movies and videos?
people say that that's what they want. Hey, this is your time to invest in the human development that the writers are on strike talking about, that the directors will probably be on strike this year talking about. I mean, the industry's grinding to a halt literally because of this. Like, who's going to get I mean, there's going to be a huge economic upswing. There's going to be a lot more activity. It's happening in the near future. It's
Yep.
not a question for if 2 years from now we're all going to be in a totally different situation. So this is uh, they're dividing that pie right up right now on how to take
Yep.
advantage of technology. You don't have to negotiate with the evil heads of Paramount Pictures and Sony. You can just talk to your own committee, your own, your own best friends that you've organized your group with, and
Mhm.
show them what we're doing and decide that you want in, and then you are. And literally, it's as easy as sending an email, making a phone call. How do people get started with us? How do they contact us? How do they put their foot in the water?
You can send an email to hello@ghostcoast.video. We check that email address religiously.
Boy,
Uh,
you thought this was going to be a 5-step process. You can literally just send an email, hello@ghostcoast.video, and we'll say hello to you.
yeah, and if you like an old-fashioned phone call, I do, you can give me a call, 505-216-6776. I will answer your phone call.
We've also have an Atlanta number if you're in the South. I haven't memorized it like a steam cleaner jingle like Kennedy has. They've got do that again. Do that again. What's the number?
505-216-6776. Call today for
But if you go to ghostcoast.video and scroll to the bottom of the page, you'll see boy, you just love my voice. No problem. And you can get it and talk to me there. Yeah, so that's cool. Kennedy, first of all, this was great.
Yeah, same to you. This
Wasn't
was,
this great? Let's take a few minutes and get ourselves a beverage, and then we'll come back and talk about door to door, face to face, canvassing and organizing. We've both got lots of experience as organizers. Let's give the dish on what we know about getting people to do stuff.
sounds good.
Yeah.